He's going to help me break down not only the WNBA, not only the NBA Summer League. We're going to talk props.cash. He's going to go through the prop slate with me and the WNBA. We're going to break it down from a coach's perspective. Let's bring him on. Coach James Young. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Ariel. Sorry, computer issues, and I want to say this really quick as I try to clip in my mic because I wasn't fully ready. Happy birthday to Maddie. Maddie turns 12 years old tomorrow, and she is getting a day of daddy time with Juliana. We're going to go to Sephora in Times Square or 34th Street. I'm going to do my podcast, and then I'm going to head over to see a little Yankees baseball. Yankees game tomorrow night. So I will be in the boogie.
Are you bringing the daughters to the game, or is that just a
Yes. I have this. Listen, it was it was more of my choice to go to the game, but if I said to my daughters, "Hey,
that's
Daddy's
such a dad thing to do," my dad used to do that crap.
Yeah, Daddy's going to take you to Sephora, and Maddie gets $100 at Sephora, and Juliana gets 50. All of a sudden, you're like, "Oh yeah, Yankee game? No, are you taking us out to lunch too, Dad?" Yes. Oh, no problem. We'll see how long they last the game.
My dad used to buy me a gift for the holidays. I loved PlayStation as a kid, but I liked playing sports games. I liked playing MLB 2K. I liked the NFL 2K. I liked what else? NBA 2K, all the 2Ks. I loved playing sports on PlayStation and Xbox. However, my dad must have really wanted Mortal Kombat. He decided to buy for the holidays my holiday gift because I liked Xbox, Mortal Kombat. I looked at him and go, "What? Since when do I like fighting games?" He said, "Oh, you play it sometimes at the arcade." I'm like, "What? I don't want Mortal Kombat. You want Mortal Kombat." He goes, "Well, I'm not going to return it." I'm like, "Okay, well, then you get to keep Mortal Kombat." I feel like it's a dad thing.
Listen, shout out to Papa Bear. Listen, at the end of the day, when we're girl dads like I am and like your dad is, we still got to do little stuff for the bros too. So I think that Mortal Kombat thing was on purpose. But hey, it's always a pleasure to be on with you, and I'm excited for you and the opportunity that you're going to present through your new venture. And I think, listen. AI has become really important in regards to kind of helping you break things down. It's a lot easier than it used to be where you have to kind of go dig yourself. But, use people like myself that kind of use my coaching background to kind of help you win. And let's kind of see if we can make some money tonight.
Absolutely. First, before we get to props.cash and looking at what they like for the WNBA slate, what do you like on today's WNBA slate?
Well, one thing I'm liking right now is I like the over in the Liberty game versus the Aces. I think there's a lot of points to be had here. The Aces have struggled defensively, and the Liberty have not been the same without Jonquel Jones. So to me, the last game was a 92-78 game, opening game. That game got to about 170, I think that number was. So to me, I like over the number tonight in the Liberty game. Versus the Aces. Secondly, when you look at just that, there's games tomorrow night to kind of look at too. I'll just kind of give this right off the bat. I really like what I've seen out of Dallas lately with Paige Beckers. I'll be looking at them to take on the Chicago Sky and get the win. Fever CC looks like she's back, so that's kind of big news. Maybe I'll jump on tomorrow. And I just can't lay 17 points on the road. I know Connecticut Sun are awful. That's going to be one of those games, Ariel, that you may want to look at just in the first half. When it comes to props, it's really been tough. And if you want to take a side with the Liberty, I think they're 0-9 against the spread their last 9 games, 3-6 straight up. So they're not playing well. So that's why I don't want to go ahead and touch that at all. Sabrina Neskew's got to be better. So Sabrina Neskew over 2.5 made threes is something I'm squarely looking at today because I think Sabrina's got to kind of go off. And then obviously Brianna Stewart. Brianna Stewart had a terrible game last weekend. I think she shot like 3 for 17. Look for Stewie to be also better in her access tonight. Last one, I think I'm missing a game. I think there's Chicago Washington is tonight.
Did they play this afternoon?
And they play this afternoon. I think they already played.
Yeah.
So to me, and that's something you want to look at, folks. Is do know the WNBA, they do kind of like they do in baseball, where they play those 12 p.m. noon games. They'll play games late morning because they kind of get crowds, get the young girls out of camp, stuff like that. So 81-79 win by the Washington Mystics. Washington's really done a really nice job, Ariel. You got to look at the fact that they're two rookies, Kiki Ariapan and Sonia Citron. They're WNBA All-Stars. Think about this. The WNBA, for the first time since 2011, are going to have 3 rookies in the All-Star game with Ariapan, Paige Beckers, and obviously Sonia Citron. Last time that happened, there was a girl named Liz Campage. I don't know if you remember her, 6'8". She was really good. The other 2, Courtney Vandersloot and Maya Moore. So shout out to the Mystics who've had a good run, but second leg of a back-to-back. Chicago's got to travel home. Look for Dallas to get the win versus a Sky team that's really just struggling mightily. Although Angel Reese has played much better as
she listened to you.
I don't know if she's listened to me, but listen, you make 12 out of 15 from the foul line. That kind of helps out. And listen, she had a big game today. 22 points, 15 rebounds. The thing about you also look at her is her assists are up. 4 assists. I think it's because of the fact that there's other players around that are knocking down shots. Atkins played well, had 11 points. Barnum had 13. Elizabeth Williams gave him 20. So there's other people kind of doing stuff. And without Cardozo playing, there's only one pivot. So that means the floor opens up a little bit for Angel. So kind of look at that a little bit with Angel rescoring without Camila Cardozo, who did not play today.
Let's talk some props. So there were 2 props for today's Liberties Aces game that stood out to me. Thank you, props.cash. I said that I needed some starting point for the WNBA. I know people want it. There are a lot of edges, especially on unders. So I'm going to share the screen and we're going to go through why there were certain props.cash. And I think I could share it with us. Okay, wait, I need to change settings. Love producing on my own. Okay, we're going to go to the WNBA.
Gotta put my glasses on. Gotta put my glasses on, Ariel. I gotta put my glasses on. I got you now, girl. Let's go.
You got me?
I got you.
We've got 1 game tonight. And now this is being, there we go. There were 2 props. So Jackie Young under 16.5 points and Aja Wilson under her points, rebounds, and assists. So those were the 2 props that stood out to me looking at props.cash. Now I'm going to show you why. First, we've got Jackie Young. When you look at her numbers this year, coach, on the road, look at all that red. She has not gone over 1 road game of her prop of 16.5 points, which is insane. Now you look at the head-to-head. Head-to-head on the road at the New York Liberty, dating back to 2022. So this year, she went under with 16. Then last year, she went over by just the hook with 17 points. Then she went under in most of the others. So if you look at it on the road, she's only gone over 40% of the time. She's averaging 15.3 points per game in New York against the Liberty. And you could even look with no Jonquel Jones. I mean, it's about the same numbers. Mm-hmm. Thoughts?
Well, when you look at Jackie Young, she is, her number at 15.5 is really sharp, right? Because to me, I look at her in the 13 to 15 point range. You got to look at the fact on the defensive side, Natasha Cloud.
16.5 point prop.
Right. So that's the thing. And that's the thing is you got to make sure, you shop around to see where you're going to get these numbers because they're 16.5. I've seen 15.5 on FanDuel. I see 17.5 at ESPN Bet. 15.5 on BetMGM. So this is where you got to be smart. ESPN Bet is at 17.5 at that minus 175. So if you want to lay the juice there, you go there and you take the under. But to me, you go a little bit closer to that. 15.5 at Caesars at 125 right now, or 16.5 at minus 140 over at DraftKings. I would look at that middle number at DraftKings. Hard Rock's mine is at 16.5. I would go under that because of the fact of Natasha Cloud going ahead and guarding her. I think that is where you look at in regards to Jackie Young. if you know, and then obviously if you want to look at any other props too, she's been struggling also from the 3-point line. I think she's missed, I do believe, the last 4 straight games. So she's not shooting the ball well. And then the last match for the Liberty, the reason why she went over barely is 4 threes. So I don't expect her to hit 4 threes. I expect her to hit 2 or 1. So if they're 2 or 1, Ariel, you're looking at 6 to 9 less points. Look for under that. Natasha Cloud does a better job. And remember, Ariel, that game with the Liberty was the Liberty kind of made a run in the fourth quarter, and you had to play catch up, which means you're trading 3 for 2s. I don't see that happening. Closer game. Both teams struggled defensively, but I think because of the defense of Natasha Cloud, I'm going under that.
I love it. Okay, so we do like the under for Jackie Young today, which, again, if you look at those are the threes, by the way, on the road this year. She's gone under in all but 2 games on the road. But then on the point side, she has not gone over 16.5 points yet, Jackie Young, this season when on the road. Then the next one we said was points, rebounds, and assists going under for Aja Wilson. It liked a lot of unders for her today. I was looking at her numbers on the road, and I looked at the numbers in the head-to-head. I always say to people, Coach, even though she went over in the first game against the Liberty, majority of the time, Aja Wilson goes under when on the road in New York against the Liberty. So if it happens the first time, it probably shouldn't happen the second time. And you could add Jonquel Jones in. She still goes under when Jonquel Jones is out. So thoughts on why Aja Wilson doesn't match up well with the Liberty?
I just don't think she's playing as well as she's up to her standards. She's not playing like the back of the basketball card. And I think if your team is struggling from 3, like they are, then you kind of look at that as an issue. The other thing is you got to be able to find good numbers for Aja Wilson. So when you look at Aja Wilson, and I'm trying to pull it up here on FanDuel, and it's kind of crazy. You got to kind of shop around because FanDuel is not even giving you certain things. Like you have to look at 40 plus PRA at plus 145. I'm not touching that. 35 plus PRA is at minus 175. So that probably means they probably have it at about, I'm going to guess 37.5, probably 36.5 is probably the number that you're seeing. Better way to play Asia is just go for a double-double at minus 155. She's going to get the rebound. She's going to get the double digits in points. And that's the way you kind of play around with it. Aja Wilson, right now, her rebounding prop is at 10.5 at plus money. So you can either go for over 10.5 plus rebounds because of no Jonquel Jones, right? Nyrus Abley, not as good of a rebounder. Maybe you look at that. Or you just go double-double with a little bit of juice at minus 155. I wouldn't mind it either way. I would just stay away from the PRA because I think if you're the Liberty, you got to get back to what you're doing defensively. And Sean made a good point. Teams going on the end of road trips, that is a thing, folks. I can tell you that because all you're thinking about is getting in your fucking bed and going to sleep. And then you got to do that long trip back to Vegas. That's a thing, folks. So I would be looking at Aja Wilson to go under the PRA. But if you want to look at it, people are blowing up my phone. Don't people know I'm busy?
Who's calling you?
One of the kids I train. He probably wants to get in the goddamn gym, but he can fucking wait too. But
You gotta make money.
I'm trying to help y'all make money. So we good. He can wait. He can get in when he fits in. To me, double Jonquel Jones, Aja Wilson is where I would look at right now in regards to that. Pull up rebounds. What do they have for? What are they thinking about in regards to rebounds for Aja?
Aja Wilson rebounds. So in 2025, let's go 2025 rebounds. We don't care about that. When overall this season, she's gone under her rebounds in 10 of 15 games. Mm-hmm. But when you look at her on the road, yeah, she still goes under in 6 of 8 on the road.
And here's the thing, folks. I want to say this right now. You got to throw out that game versus Indiana. That was a fucking embarrassment of a performance against Indiana Fever, which I do believe they lost 91-54. So those are games sometimes, Ariel, that you honestly, you punt it. You can't really read.
Well, and look at this. The rebounds without Jonquel Jones, she goes up to hitting in 3 of the last 5. But with Jonquel Jones, she doesn't hit as much. So without Jonquel Jones, she does go up in her boards against Liberty.
Yeah, you got to realize that Jonquel Jones is the number 2 rebounder in the WNBA. I think she's about 11.6 or 7 rebounds a game. And I think that's the other thing really quick about the New York Liberty. I want people to understand. Jonquel Jones is not their best player. She's their most important player. And I don't think people understand when I've said this before. That girl is 6'5". She's an absolute monster, and she stretches the floor, and she gives you fits protecting at the rim. I know Naira Sabley. I love the kid. She ain't Double J, right? And then even if Double J gets into foul trouble, then you can bring Naira Sabley off the bench. So to me, when you kind of look at that, that's where you kind of look at it. Naira Sabley missed some games as well. So to me, I'm looking at her to go over. I think that rebound prop looks pretty good. When you dig deep and you kind of look at the rebounds, Jonquel Jones is at 9.6 rebounds. Got to remember that last game she got hurt. She only played like she got hurt in the first quarter. She had like 2 rebounds. So you got to throw that game out, right? So you would just say with that. But if you look at the other rebounders, obviously there's Stewie. And then obviously you look at Naira Sabley. I'm trying to pull her up. She gets 4.9 rebounds per game and 19 minutes of action. So when you kind of look at Naira, like that's, a rebound every 4 or so minutes. That's not at the pace of what Jonquel obviously gets you. And you got to look at the fact that that they are just different. And I think, ES makes a great point. Like the Liberty are not winning the championship if Jonquel Jones is not healthy. I'm gonna say this right now. And I think they're taking their time because it's the second time she rolled that ankle, and they're going to take her time with it. Now, if you look at Naira Sabley, okay, the most rebounds she's had in the game last time was 9 versus Seattle, right? Since then, 4, 6, 4, 0, 6, okay? And 2 of the 5 games she's gotten 3 fouls, and she's got to go against Asia Wilson. Because the crazy thing is, Asia doesn't guard Stewie doesn't guard Asia. Like, they don't guard each other, folks, even though they should. Kia Stokes will go and will guard Naira, or will guard Stewie, and then they'll put Asia on Naira Sabley, save her from foul trouble. But then it's the reverse. Stewie's not going to guard Asia. So that's why you look at the fact that possibly foul trouble, the fact that Naira just can't keep up with her. Look for that double-double at minus 155 or go over to 10.5 rebounds.
Coach, are there any games tomorrow that intrigue you from a prop perspective that we could look at for props.cash real quick?
Well, I would look at, obviously, and I got to pull it up here because just kind of digging this. I said this a while ago, and I think people think I was crazy. I said to Ben Stevens a year ago in Sports Grid that I thought that Paige Beckers was going to be as good or better than Caitlin Clark. And I got fucking roasted on the network. And I don't think people understand. She's not as dynamic, right? Because the logo 3, so on and so forth. But when it comes down to just straight up ball and everything she does, Paige Beckers right now, and I will say this, is a top 10 player in the league. Now, I know people are going to say that, that Caitlin Clark is hurt. I get it. But Paige can flat out hoop. Now, here's what I would say about Caitlin Clark. And I want people to understand this. Caitlin is when she gets back, she's in a very precarious situation. Because they have played well except for 1 game without her. It was a loss against the Sparks. I would be looking at Caitlin Clark's assist prop. And I would play Caitlin Clark's points prop live. Because they may hang big numbers. She'll get off to slow starts because she gets other people going. And then she'll get the points later on in the game as the game gets close. There's something.
Yeah, look at how much green there is right there for the assists for Caitlin Clark in her last 10.
Yeah, I would be looking at double doubles with Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And they are they on the? No, they're at home tomorrow.
All right, do me a favor. Do me a favor. Pull up Sean's. He put up saying it's easy to stat pad when your team is awful. Listen, I will say this. You have to say respectfully, Sean, and I love you, brother. The Wings have been much better since she has returned. Now, am I saying that she is you know, stat padding, I wouldn't go there. So I got to remember this. Paige Beckers was a 20-point-a-game scorer at UConn as a freshman. When you look at her play at UConn, they play in the Big East, which I know, and I'm friends with half of the Big East coaches. That league is not good. So when you have Paige Beckers in college only getting you 15, 16 points, look at the amount of minutes she played. When she had to step up, NCAA tournament, look at her stats. Look at the amount of minutes that Paige is playing. She's playing an absurd amount of minutes. Her usage rate is up, so the opportunities are up. I compare Paige Beckers and how do I say it to Kevin? I compare Paige Beckers and UConn players to Dean Smith and all the Carolina guys. No one ever scored 20 points a game. Paige Beckers is getting 34.7 minutes per game. She is shooting 46%, 47% from floor, 35% from three. And I'll tell you right now, and she ain't even shooting it well. I saw this kid play. She was the best player coming out of high school, better than Van Lith. Saw her torch her ass. Saw Caitlin Clark. Do y'all know that Caitlin Clark didn't go to UConn because UConn said she wasn't a UConn kind of player? Also, though, did you guys know that Caitlin Clark actually committed to Notre Dame first and then backed out to go to Iowa? So I want to make sure you talk about people talking about stat padding. I'm not saying Caitlin Clark is nice, but don't accuse her of stat padding. Last time they played Caitlin Paige, I know, bad performance, 30-point loss, 24 minutes, and still gave you 11, 3, and 2. Games before that, 27-4-5, 27-1-6. 12-4-5-4. That was a tight, closely contested game. 29-7. She's going to be unbelievable. I'm telling you this right now. Look at points, rebounds, assists for Paige because of the usage rate. And here's the other thing. Caitlin Clark is the number one superstar of that league. I'm telling you this right now. By next year, and maybe even now, the second most popular player in the WNBA is Paige Beckers because she went to UConn. And every girl that knows college basketball knows UConn and knows Paige Beckers.
Hey, it agrees with you. In the algorithm for props.cash, it says that it's a plus. Right now, it says that props.cash has a plus 2.5 difference. They project 31 points, rebounds, and assists, and it's at 28.5. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see tomorrow that number ends up going up. Maybe you could get some good value on Paige Beckers over and Shawn Michael. I don't want to know about what Shawn Michael looks like behind the scenes because I feel like he just has an evil laugh all the time. Okay, last WNBA question. I got to move on from this. I can't even believe that we've got 1,300 people on here listening to the WNBA this long. So I appreciate everyone. We're going to talk NBA Summer League and we're going to talk Major League Baseball. Coach, why didn't Ionescu take that mantle of best player?
I love Sab. I've spent some time with her, watching her play at Oregon, and obviously I know people have noticed. I know the Oregon. I know Kelly Graves really well, and obviously I know the guys at TCU where they were assistants. It's different from taking the mantle because the New York Liberty have 3 of the top 7, 8 players in the world on a team. They cancel each other out. That's why it's crazy that Stewie won an MVP because at the end of the day, with Ionescu and John Quill, they're taking away shots from each other. So to me, I love Sab. She's a great player. She's a top 10 player in the league, but she's got arguably the top 3 player in the league and Breanna Stewart, and the most indispensable, most important part of their team and John Quill Jones in the lineup as well.
I'm dying at this comment. That was a hell of a speech. She might be my favorite player, and I never saw her play.
Hey, listen,
I feel the same way.
Broham, I'm a coach. This is what I do.